frozen until somewhere either in late February or the beginning parts of March. There should not be a green speck of nothing that I'm walking on right now that should be visual January the 3rd, the year that they're remounting various powers. And to see wild grass grow like this out here in the middle of winter is appalling to my intelligence, and to think that we have not wisened up yet to Mother Nature displaying these type of warnings to us is absolutely appalling. Appalling to the human race. I remember as a child in the mid to late 60s and throughout the 70s that there was a pig barn right there. We had an old pond back over there somewhere, in addition to the big pond that we still have right there, or we did have. It's no longer ours. It belongs to Mr. Melvin Hill. But I remember as a child having to go out with heat lamps and make sure that the little piggies didn't freeze to death as they was being born in the winter, and having to go out there with a chopping axe or a pointed axe and crush the ice in the pond to the point of doing it sometimes 3 or 4 times a day just so the livestock would stay alive, that they would have something to drink. I remember that pond over there being so froze. It's about 1.5 acre, 2 acre pond, or it used to be. Now it's shrunk down because of the levees breaking. But I remember there being as many as 8, 10, 12, maybe 15 kids playing on that pond, ice skating. A matter of fact, one year we had a car out there, an old Nova, on top of that pond. The ice had frozen probably 12, 14 inches thick. The last time that I seen ice in this area that you could consider even thinking about walking on would probably in the early 80s, on about 81, 82, maybe 83. But once more, you look across that field right there, you see greenery. These are abnormalities. Abnormalities in the nature. We're also having flying birds that are migrating down into this area that we're not supposed to see this time during this area. We're also seeing armadillos that whenever I was growing up, you never thought about seeing an armadillo this far north. But yet now we'll have people that will argue, oh, global warming ain't real. Global warming ain't real. To the point that they shut down the government just to satisfy their own self-inducing pleasures, to the point of being able to beat their chest with their fist and act like they're some sort of ape. I just pray to God that this country somehow or another can be turned around, and will be turned around because of God. Because there's no doubt that this is one of the greatest nations up onto the planet. May we all learn from our mistakes of what has occurred in the past 30 years. That the Reagans and the Bushes and other administrations has brought up onto us illegitimately. And may we turn this ship around and get it set back on the right course to the point that it can be prosperous for not only the American people, but for the world, for the whole world. And may we be able to end poverty and terrorism and hate-mongering pertaining to anti-Semitism and other types of groups of people that are so dead set that they have basically not only dug a hole for their own selves to be buried in, but trying to bury their own children and their children's children in that very same hole. We are no longer living in our agrarian society to the point that 80% of our nation surrounds agriculture. We must learn to evolve and take on the challenges of the 21st century if we plan on surviving and being prosperous as a Homo sapiens society is supposed to. We must never take God out of the equation pertaining to the teachings of His Son, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. In the year 2019, may we all act more decent, appropriate towards the Good Samaritan. May we all try to be more loving, kind, gentle, and more professional in our everyday practices, in our endeavors. It's not just a praying farmhouse. It's a praying schoolhouse. It's a praying factory. It's a praying utility company. It's a praying institution. It's a praying government. Hopefully, you are praying to the right one. For we do not serve a God of the dead. We serve a God of the living. We serve a God that was the Lord Jesus Christ's Father, Yahweh, connected to His Son, Yeshua. May we all learn from our mistakes and adapt and go forward in the year 2019 to come. Thank you for listening. And like I said, and I'll say again, there will not be near as many YouTube, social media platform videos this year because it has taken entirely too much of my time, number one. Number two, I have gotten back I have gotten back a little bit of confirmation from various people of my friends that has supported me in my endeavors, but very little. And as far as I am concerned, society is still wanting to me, in the degree of they think that everything should be given to them. Just like all the material that I put out last year from the Windmill Ministries missions. Not one person has offered any type of generosity towards saying, Dennis, I know it's costed you money to maintain this social platform. Dennis, I know it costs you money to go up and down the road. Dennis, I know that you was sticking your neck out towards taking on a lot of these interviews of people that if you didn't do it the way that you done it, you never would have gotten an open interview from them. Dennis, we realize the sacrifices that you've made pertaining to our men and women in uniform, of that in which what you and your family had to go through, pertaining to your biological father who had a severe sickness because of him being combat wounded during World War II. The only thing that I have gotten out here is resistance and hate and animosity and remorse from a group of people that wanted to point their finger and say that I was the monster. That I was the monster. And the whole time, instead of old David and old Dennis being the monster, the whole time, it was those who old David and Dennis was trying to help. Even the courts, the judicial court system, got sucked up in all this to the point that they was trying to declare me as being a monster that I needed to be put away indefinitely for good. Simply because I went down into places in Waco, Texas, towards sticking my neck out, and places in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, towards sticking my neck out. And this is the thank you that I get towards coming onto my property and vandalizing my very own personal property. This is the thank you that I get towards biting the hand that has fed these people through God working through one of his servants. This is the thank you that I get. I have never in my life seen so much shamefulness, either from the people or from the leaders of the people. This is the ugliness that has befallen upon the Northwest Tennessee. And if your eyes isn't adorned by what you're looking at here, go up this road right here. Sorry for the finger being patched up. And drive up that road, Highway 89, go up the old Frank Enos Hill right there, and start making the corner and start looking at what you have been representing, or what you have allowed to represent you, pertaining to the old cars and all the ugliness that is around that corner right now, that at one time used to be one of the most beautifulest pieces of property in Northwest Tennessee, that actually wound up in a magazine because of its beauty. I have never seen a sickness that has befallen upon to the American land like I have this sickness. May God have mercy on those who have partaken in this conspiracy. And may God have mercy on the authority figures that has tried so desperately to destroy the very person that is speaking to you right now from my very heart and from my very being.